How's it going, everybody? Bryan, Alvarez, and Dave Meltzer here. Wrestling Observer Radio, June 26, 2018. Figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Got some technical difficulties doing the show over the phone tonight. We should get those fixed by Wednesday. Got a lot to talk about here today, including what I thought was a very good episode of Raw. Excellent main event. Outside the bad finish. Got a Bayley turn of some sort. All sorts of things happening. And a new main event, I guess, for Extreme Rules as they've scrapped the old one. Dave, what's going on?
That's a really good question. I don't know what's going on, where they switched from the elimination, not elimination, but a multiple person main event that they were building up to what looks like Roman Reigns against Bobby Lashley, and there was talk in the marketplace. I know there's some advertising out in Pittsburgh now of Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman in a cage match. I don't know if that's what's going to happen or not, although if you watch the show today, Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens are certainly being built up, so that sounds like it's very possible, if not probable. But I mean, as far as, creative change, I don't know what to say. It's kind of weird, when they build something up, and it's not like it's one of these things where it's like 6 weeks between shows. I mean, we're a couple weeks away, but usually at this point, you've probably got the top matches all lined up for the show, and really, I think the only stuff we have is we got Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax, and we got the tag team title match, which is clearly a comedy nothing match, the Raw tag team, and they'll probably build one or two matches up on SmackDown tomorrow. I would presume they'll announce Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley, which is still essentially the same thing. I mean, if you think about it, it's still probably the winner gets Brock Lesnar, so I don't know. I don't know what the whole story is right now. The tease, obviously, is that Brock Lesnar is having negotiation problems, which I believe he's got one more deal left. He's got one more match left on this current deal, which presumably is SummerSlam. We're running real low on the next move of Brock Lesnar. He's got until Friday to submit to USADA testing. If he doesn't submit to USADA testing by Friday, then he ain't fighting this year. I suppose he could fight early next year. There's no situation where it's got to be on the December show, but that's very much the show they wanted him on, to the late December show, the show right before New Year's. And just today on Ariel Helwani's show, Daniel Cormier was talking, and he was clearly under the impression that Lesnar was coming in. I mean, Paul Heyman was very much teasing that Brock Lesnar may go to UFC, but they always do that. But Cormier was talking about, that his goal is, or what he's looking for is, beat Stipe Miocic, defend the championship, the heavyweight title, against Brock Lesnar, which would require Brock to, be coming in, and then finish up his career with John Jones. Although if he says he's going to finish his career in March of next year, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's a lot of unique things that happen when you have a big money fight as compared to normal rules, but there is no possible justification that John Jones should be able to be, that USADA should have allowed John Jones to be off suspension before Daniel Cormier turns 40. That's, which I think he said he's going to retire on his birthday, which is, I think, the end of March. But whatever, there's no way. I mean, that he had steroids in his system. It was not a first offense. It was a second offense because the cocaine doesn't count. So it's a second offense on the drug charges. That's 4 years. And I mean, his only explanation is that I don't know what happened, and that's pretty fishy, especially with someone with that track record. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they, you can make an argument for 2 years. It's not a good argument, but we'll see. I mean, the whole John Jones thing's been really weird because it was when was the fight that he pulled out of with Cormier? That was it June of last year, July, late July?
I'm not. I can look. It's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, you would think that, he had the hearing before California. That was months ago. USADA should have just taken care of it. I don't know. And it should have been, literally it should have been taken care of 6 months ago, minimum. They just delayed and delayed and delayed. And this is like a real weird, it's obvious it's a real weird situation because they're trying to figure out some sort of loophole to get him back. And it's, and by doing so, they're undermining the entire credibility of everything they've built with the drug testing. So, I don't know. They're already under fire for the Greg Hardy thing, so this isn't going to, allowing, trying to figure out a way to get John Jones, and obviously the Connor thing.
This would have been July 29, 2017.
Okay, so...
No. That was the draw that was overturned. Is that the one you're talking about here, or which one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, July 29th.
Yep, 2017,
So the earliest you should be able to fight would be, 2021, really, but I'm figuring they'll figure out a way to make it 2019, but you couldn't, how do you even justify that? How do you justify a second offense?
Well, we don't, but people looking to make money can easily justify whatever they want, like a 2-year suspension back next year.
Yeah, you could do it, but how do you even justify that?
Well, you say he's out 2 years, so he served his time. 1 year served already. But
second offense is 4 years.
It is 4 years.
That's the guidelines.
It is 4 years, but...
Yeah. So, it's not like you can say it's tainted supplement. If it's tainted, there's no tainted supplement. We've already been through that one. Tainted supplement, that's an accident. It's not fully his fault, but he still probably has to be suspended for a little while. But this was a steroid suspension. Not the first offense. Anyway, that's another issue. But yeah, as far as Brock Lesnar goes, I guess we'll know this week what's going to happen. There's definitely a game. Obviously they're trying to make you think. This is the idea that they're doing, is that Brock is looking at leaving and not dropping the championship on the way out as a way to turn him heel. And the only reason they'd be so adamant about turning him heel is it would be for Roman Reigns, because it was for Braun Strowman, who they're not even putting in that position, or even Bobby Lashley. I don't think it would be that much of a concern.
So basically we're trying the exact same thing they tried before WrestleMania that did not get Roman Reigns cheered and led to the fans completely turning on the entire match. And they can try the exact same thing for the New York market. That's their plan.
That's what it looks like. Doesn't that seem like really weird that you would do it again after you already did it?
I wouldn't call it weird. I'd call it really stupid. But that's just
me. It's just like like you would think. Okay, we tried, it didn't work. Wouldn't you think you would go in a different direction?
Well, I'm sure in their minds they're going harder that direction because, man, this time the guy's really going to leave.
Yeah, now he's threatening to leave. Now he's threatening to leave without dropping the championship.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was he was just no-showing television.
But you know what the thing is? Here's a problem with this whole thing, okay? He's never even around with the title anyway. Like, we've gone well over a year with no title defenses on television. Like, who gives a shit if he leaves with the title? At least the title will be on somebody after that. Like, why would fans care that he might leave with a title they haven't even seen for a year? It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
He's not defending it on every pay-per-view.
It did work in the sense of Brock Lesnar is like way less over than he used to be.
Oh, yeah, that worked great then. Roman Reigns is no more popular than he's ever been. He's gets the exact same reaction he always has gotten.
Well, he actually got cheered when he first came out, but then when he was in the match tonight, he got booed. It was weird.
They do this all the time. Like, the music gets initial pop. He got an initial pop when he ran out to save Seth, but then they saw him and they booed him again. So that's not different. It's just, it's bizarre.
Yeah, I just think it's weird watching this angle play out because I'm thinking it's the same angle that failed before.
It is. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
They're just trying it again.
You would think, I would think with all the different people involved, they would definitely be trying something. But this one, one is just, especially when, I don't know. I guess it's the way to, but then why would you have even brought up a multiple person match anyway?
That's the weird part.
Who knows?
Well, let's get in this opening segment because I want to talk about the opening segment as it plays in all of this. So Angle and Corbin come out to open up the show. Corbin gets heat, says he demands they announce him separately as Stephanie's personally chosen constable. Angle then says, last week I made a multi-person match. It was at Stephanie's behest, but then Paul Heyman went on social media, started stirring up rumors about what Brock might do in his next appearance. So Roman's music hits. The announcers have to explain what Paul said, which was he buried a bunch of the roster, including Roman Reigns, who he said Brock no longer had any interest in. And why would he after 3 years?
Well, you know what? I mean, what's bad about that is they keep talking about how Roman Reigns has been trying for the championship for years and keeps failing. How is that helping build up a Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns match?
It doesn't, except they're also saying that he should have won the cage match, and so he's the rightful champion. Like, they think that the fans are going to care about that, when clearly they don't.
I mean, that's actually technically right, in the sense that he did, in theory, was a blown referee call and all that on that show. But it's like, in this day and age, it's like a babyface either succeeds or he fails. And no matter what the loophole is, if you fail, you can fail a little bit. But at a certain point in time, you have to succeed or you're a failure. And I think the limit is under 3 years.
I think the limit is much less than that, but we're being generous by saying 3 years.
Kenny Omega was 18 months, and that was about the perfect time. But 3 years is pushing it.
Yeah, but hold on.
Well,
Kenny Omega lost one, and then they had a draw, and then he won one. Yep. Roman Reigns has lost and 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 lost.
Pretty much.
So this is totally different.
He's won a lot of matches, but yeah, he was put in some of those multiple person matches and lost. Even that one, remember the multiple person match, the really great one, and then he was the one who ended up getting pinned because of the idea that he was going to win it back at WrestleMania, and then he lost at WrestleMania when they wanted to swerve everybody, which was in hindsight. They might as well have just done it at WrestleMania because now we got this period with no champion. We've had it for months. It's really like the belt's not doing anyone any good. I mean, what did they accomplish by switching that finish?
Nothing.
I mean, even if they wanted
literally
to
nothing,
and do it in Saudi Arabia, I mean, they could have done that, and I guess it would have been a month late. But but now what's the point? We're going to build it up for SummerSlam, where people don't care about. The problem is people don't care about that match anymore. It's just people. I don't know if they want to see Lashley against him. They probably would want to see Strowman against him. I think they'd probably want to see Seth Rollins against him. But it does. I mean, it's a different era, and it doesn't matter. Obviously, I mean, it's going to be the same no matter what. All you have to do is call it SummerSlam, and it is what it is. It's already it's already sold, pretty much sold out. I mean, but still, I mean, like just from a fan excitement standpoint, it's like, how do you get excited about this match that you're already tired of, and they're pretty much telling you that you've had it for. They're making it worse by saying that they've been doing it for years and years and years. And Bobby Lashley brings up, you keep doing it. I mean, I guess he has to succeed. I mean, that's the one thing about this story is that before Lesnar leaves, if he does leave, and who the hell knows if he's going to, if he does leave, Reigns does have to beat him because you can't be the top guy, which is supposedly his position. You can't be the top guy and continually fail in your big chase. You do have to, even if it's one of those things where he beats Lesnar and then Strowman cashes in on him right away. I mean, at least he beat Lesnar. He has to, you think he has to do that. So, but they're just, the way they're explaining it is just making it, I think everything's making it worse for him.
So anyway, he comes out, wants to hear Kurt's explanation face-to-face. Lashley comes out, and he says, I deserve to hear this just as much as you do. You've had your chance to beat Brock. 3 years worth of chances. The only thing you've proven is you can't beat the guy. Time for you to move on. Everybody cheers. Roman says, well,
yeah, I mean, what do you, time for you to move on gets the biggest pop.
Yes.
I mean, what does that tell you?
it tells me it's time to move on with this guy.
That's what it tells me, too.
Roman says, you moved on 10 years ago. You were in the main event of Mania. You quit. You wanted to be a big MMA superstar. How'd that work out for you? What have you done around here lately? Says, I main evented WrestleMania 4 years in a row. I'm here every week. I want to do it 5 in a row. Lashley's telling him not to downplay his background. I'm the only one, he says, with the legit tools to beat Brock Lesnar, and I'll beat everybody, including you.
So what does that mean? Because he wrestled amateur and did MMA?
No, he's a shooter. They're playing it up that he's a shooter. Roman's a fake wrestler, and so the shooters are going to do this for the title.
Yeah.
So Kurt says there's not going to be a multi-person match. Brock's contract gave him an out. Match is canceled. Roman says, Lashley, you should know this. This guy does what he wants. He doesn't respect anybody. And Lashley says, well, you know what? If he had somebody legit to challenge him, maybe he'd come back and defend the title. He's sick of looking at you every single time. So Roman says, well, I don't have a match at Extreme Rules. You don't have a match at Extreme Rules. Let's do this right now. And Kurt says, I'll take it under advisement for the pay-per-view. And then Dash and Dawson come out. They make a challenge. Corbin signs the match. Kurt okays it. So here's the deal. Here's what I don't understand.
Go ahead.
Well, there's a lot. So if...
It's because it doesn't make sense.
If Brock Lesnar doesn't want to face Roman Reigns again, then why is a multi-person match canceled? And now it's down to a one-on-one match where there's now a 50% chance that he's going to have to face Roman again. What's going on here?
Beats me. And then he gets pinned.
Oh, my God. So they have this match, and Roman...
I figured that's just setting Roman Reigns up to destroy people next week, but still.
Still, Roman gets a hot tag. Fans are chanting. Fans are actually chanting for Bobby, and they boo when Roman gets his blind tag. And Lashley tries a blind tag of his own. Roman avoids it, but then Dawson and Lashley bonk into each other, and Dash sneaks in, rolls up Roman Reigns, pulls the tights, and pins Roman Reigns. The fans pop like crazy. They're on their feet. Lashley chastises Roman afterwards. He says, look, we should have beaten these guys. You had to jump in there. You had to take my tag. Look at what happened, dude. And all I know is when this was over, like going in, I did not want to see Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns again. When this was over, I wanted to see it even less.
Maybe they're not going to do it, but that would be, after all this, you know what I mean? After all these years and all these...
You know what Roman Reigns is?
Delay.
Roman Reigns is Lex Luger.
Whatever. Lex Luger was never turned on like this.
No, I'm talking about Lex Luger. All of those times that he was going to be the guy, and it didn't happen.
Well, it was only once. It was that match in Detroit that he needed to win, and they did the count-out, and then the people just got tired of him, and they liked the other guy more.
Well, case, he was going to beat Flair.
That happened years ago.
He was going to beat Flair, and then Flair went to WWF, and he ended up winning the title from Wyndham or whatever it was, and same thing happened in WWE. And then there was that time on Nitro where he won the title, and the place just goes absolutely crazy for him winning the title. Hogan won it back 5 days later.
Yeah, but that was long. I mean, Luger was, that's a completely different era. That's just, I mean, they had already given up on Lex Luger being the top guy. I mean, the Hogan thing, he did get a good pop on Nitro and all, beating Hogan because anyone...
He got an unbelievable pop. It was insane.
But anyone who would have beaten Hogan at that point would have gotten a big pop. So that was just Hogan just trying to, do something to build up a pay-per-view match and then winning it back on the pay-per-view. That didn't really mean anything. But, back then you'd get pops. I mean, before they had completely destroyed the championship. If Roman Reigns, he's the exception. Anyone else wins a championship, the main championship, they're going to get a pop. They'll get a big pop. I mean, what does it necessarily mean? It depends on who it is and what the situation is. Reigns, I think even Reigns winning would get a pop before the...
It would get a pop, but he's going to get booed the entire match, or they're not going to pay attention, and he's going to get booed the next night, so who cares where they do it?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's we'll see how it all plays out, but this whole the whole Reigns thing has just been. I mean, yeah, it's when I know at some of the house shows it seems to work and all that, but it's I mean, like when the big pop line is that move over, you've gotten your chance. I mean, all I know is that when this thing was over, I was just completely perplexed because I'm thinking that if the idea is that Roman Reigns is a top guy and he is supposed to be in the main event on the next pay-per-view, then they're doing it all wrong because he's just coming off. I don't know if they think that by beating him, it'll get him more over. I think that the whole Daniel Bryan thing got them thinking that if we beat baby faces, they get more over, except the only problem is with the exception of Daniel Bryan, it hasn't worked with anybody else.
Nope. So anyway, Matt Hardy cuts a promo on the B team. They go to the ring. B team does their promo mocking Matt and Bray. Same thing we saw last week. Same announcers laughing. Terribly unfunny. So they have a match, Matt Hardy and Axel. Matt goes for a superplex like a minute in. Axel just falls on him and pins him. And they showed no replays. I mean, the announcers presumed it was a superplex turned into a crossbody, but it just looked terrible.
The idea was he was supposed to lose his balance and fall off. And the guy would get a fluke pin, which they even mentioned like
so he's a
banana
geek?
peel thing. So it was supposed to be a fluke pin, and then the idea is that those guys would do this over celebration like they just won the Stanley Cup or they just won the NBA Finals, when in fact somebody just tripped and he fell on top and it was a fluke pin. That's the idea. I think that I don't think that came across quite like that.
No, it didn't.
But it was. I mean, they did do the comically over celebration, which is the idea behind the whole thing. I mean, that's what those guys do whenever they win, and that is kind of getting them over as a cult thing. I mean, they have gained a lot of popularity in the last month or so. So the only thing is that it's like it's a cute thing, but it's like I have no feeling of wanting to watch them actually do that tag team match.
So we had Sasha backstage complaining to Kurt about something. She's just whining. We can't hear what she says. There's a painter walking around. They shove down a stagehand. Titus Worldwide walks up and says, "Listen, you guys, everybody back here, we all work very hard. You need to show these people some respect." The authors tell him, "Thanks."
How come Titus doesn't say that to the Riot Squad?
He's not around, apparently. He's busy elsewhere in the building. We had Kurt meeting with Bayley, who's hanging out with
How come they do like the same angle with two different sets of heels?
This is what they do. You know this. Kurt met with Bayley. She's hanging out with the returning Alicia Fox. And Kurt says, "Listen, I want you to team up with Sasha tonight." Bayley says, "Are you kidding me?" And Kurt demands.
That's what I was saying. Are you kidding me?
She
Why isn't
participate
Fox?
in a six-person. Yeah, Kurt's supposed to be the babyface GM, but he's just like, he just came off like an idiot here. Like, why are you trying to get these two to team up together? They clearly don't like each other.
Especially when the third person in the match would have been Alicia Fox. I could sort of see it in the sense of, but here's Alicia Fox right there hanging out with Bayley, and he's saying the third person's Ember Moon. So why does Sasha Banks have to be in this match to begin with?
No idea. We had AOP versus Rich and Rex Gibson. They destroy these two poor fools, fun squash match, and they continue destroying them afterwards. Titus Worldwide hits the ring, so I guess they will be the next victims of the AOP.
Yeah.
So then we have a totally bizarre segment which led to a totally bizarre match. Kurt and Baron are arguing backstage. Finn Balor shows up. Finn is very upset that this multi-person match has been canceled. He so wanted his chance to win back that Universal title. And Baron buries him, saying, "You just come up short, just like you did last week when I pinned you." Braun shows up. Braun says,
so here's the thing. Wasn't Finn and Braun like buddies?
Yes, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
Braun says, I
was thinking like I missed something.
No. Braun says, "I feel I've been too rough on Kevin Owens. I feel bad about what I've done. So instead of being his opponent, I want to try to be his friend tonight. Want to be his tag team partner."
He's got remorse.
And Kurt says, "Well, who would your opponents be?" And Braun says, "How about these two?" Talking about Finn and Constable Corbin. Dave, you missed nothing. I have no idea what's going on. But now we...
I mean, they could just go, we want to shake things up and have these, you guys have to get along, and we're just doing, you know what I mean? Like, you can do something to explain making this match, but the flaw to me was that Finn Balor and Braun Strowman are supposed to be buddies, and then, like, it's just completely forgotten.
Oh, yeah. Totally forgotten. So they recap the Alexa Ronda stuff, then Alexa and Mickey are in the ring, and Mickey says it was horrible what Ronda did to Alexa last week. Alexa says that's why she has been suspended for 30 days. Nia is still in physical therapy. Ronda suspended. I'm still here as the women's champion. Buries Nia, saying she always tries to make herself the victim.
Okay, wait. Nia's in physical therapy, except she's also in Lake Tahoe for Total Divas.
Well, apparently she was doing therapy in Lake Tahoe. Okay. Sounds like a pretty nice place to do therapy.
I guess so.
Anyway, fans are booing her like crazy. They're booing at the top of their lungs. So Natty interrupts, says the countdown is on. 23 days until Ronda comes back to deal with her. Alexa buries her for her social media posting, says she's dismissed. Natty says, no, I talked to Kurt. We've got a match here right now. And I did not come alone. I've got Nia Jax. So it's Alexa versus Natty, and Natty makes her comeback. Mickey tries to jump on the apron. Ref catches her. He's distracted. Nia then trips up Alexa. Natty gets a sharpshooter. Alexa taps out. So I guess you never know what's going to happen, but all I know is these fans are so into Ronda Rousey. They hated Alexa Bliss. And when they go out there and they just beat Alexa here on the show, I was like, why did you do that? Like, you're building up something here big with Ronda and Alexa that the people really seem to be getting into. Can you just not beat Alexa until we have this match? The answer is no. They beat her.
Well, the idea is that they're doing the short term, which is Alexa against...
Natty?
You know, no. I mean, Alexa will probably beat Natty in the next week or two. Okay, but it's Alexa against Nia Jax. And then the whole thing is that they wanted Nia Jax to have screwed with Alexa, because Alexa screwed with Nia Jax and injured Nia Jax, so she's getting back at her. And Natty just happens to win. So it's not about Natty winning, although it was a sharpshooter and it was a tap-out.
It was a tap-out submission. It wasn't a cradle. It wasn't...
Right, I know. I mean, in theory, shouldn't Natty be getting the title shot now?
She should be getting or it should be a three-way.
Or a three-way. Yeah, well, maybe they'll do that. I don't think they will, but yeah, maybe.
Well, maybe they saw the last Alexa Nia match and decided, let's make it a three-way, because maybe Natty can help this out a little bit.
Yeah, well, that actually sort of makes sense in that way.
So we have a Seth interview, vows to burn it down, take the title back. Jinder is doing a photo shoot. Riot Squad shows up. They take a cameraman's camera, they shoot some photos, they destroy the camera, which should be a lawsuit, by the way. And Jinder responds by calmly offering a prayer of peace or something like that. They're going to turn this guy babyface.
Jinder?
Yeah. I see it coming. We had Ember and Sasha and Bayley versus the Riot Squad.
He ain't getting over that big as a babyface.
Well, he ain't getting over that big as a heel right now, so... We have
not for a lack of effort.
Ember, Sasha...
yeah, pretty much. They try.
Ember, Sasha, and Bayley versus the Riot Squad. Sasha gets a hot tag, runs wild, big brawl outside. Ember takes out Logan. Liv Morgan, actually, it's a running Frankensteiner outside. And back in the ring, Sasha knocks Liv off the apron, turns around. Ruby pins her with a small package. The moment the pinfall happens... and Ruby rolls out of the ring, Bayley hits the ring and beats the holy hell out of Sasha. The fans go absolutely crazy. They're doing the yes chants.
They were going crazy for the heel turn.
She continues the beating. The place is going haywire. They're chanting, "We want tables." All I know when I watched this was, based on this feud, and who to me has been the heelish person in this feud, I thought Bayley was the babyface here. The fans thought that she was the babyface. I presume she's supposed to be the heel.
I don't think the fans thought she was the babyface at all. I think the fans were just wanting to see a turn. If you notice, every time somebody turns, the fans just go crazy. They just want to see people turn. They think it's cool.
You may be right, but they played her music at the end when she wasn't beating on her, and they still cheered when they played her music.
Yeah, no, they thought it was cool. they thought like we got to see a big angle. You know, even though they've done they've fought each other for months, but this is like, I think that they sensed that this is like the real angle, and the other ones were the fake ones, and they got to see the real one.
Well, here's the problem with this. Number one, I thought that Bayley was the babyface in this whole thing. And number two, when Kurt Angle sends her to therapy or whatever, I mean, Kurt Angle's the one that came off heelish here.
No kidding.
So at the end of the day, it's maybe she is a babyface.
Yeah. Well,
maybe they're turning into a stone cold Bayley.
She's going to be a babyface in therapy. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But Sasha didn't do anything heelish here.
Well, I mean, she has for months. Are we going to discard that?
Well, they both have, you know, over the course of everything. But yeah, Sasha Banks has been more of the heel in the build-up, sure. But Bayley Bayley has done the attacks from behind, not Sasha.
Well, she has done a few of those. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the fans absolutely loved this segment, made the segment awesome with their reactions. Kevin Owens backstage. He cannot believe that Strowman wants to team with him. He doesn't trust the guy. He doesn't want the match. Kurt says this could be the start of a beautiful friendship. Skeptical. We had Mojo Rawley, No Way Jose. Well, they were supposed to have that match. Mojo comes out. And
you realize that they had a 4-minute commercial break. Those people in the building had to watch they were playing that song, and he danced for 4 straight minutes with no...
Actually, Dave, I wasn't there, but I've been to a lot of television tapings. What usually happens is he's dancing, and then when they go to commercial, they shut all the lights off and all the music off, and everyone just stands there awkwardly for 4 minutes. And then suddenly, the music starts playing again, and everyone starts dancing again. It's even more awkward live than if you just danced for 4 minutes.
Either one didn't sound good.
No. So Mojo's just...
I know the mentality is that you bring them out. If it's and it makes all the sense in the world if it's a star. You bring out a star, you go to the commercial, and people won't tune out because they know what's happening because the star's in the ring. But when it's No Way Jose, who, you know, I mean, nothing against him, but they buried him 6 feet under. When it's No Way Jose and you're doing this, I don't think that mentality works.
Well, anyway, Mojo is disgusted by the Rosebuds. Says they haven't earned the right to get in the ring. Mojo, he says, no way you haven't either.
He was yelling at one of those dudes.
Interviews a Rosebud dressed like a cheeseburger named Todd. The fans are chanting, Todd, Todd, Todd. He's berating the guy. Nobody cares. They just want to chant for Todd. And finally, Rawley says, you asked for a rematch? The answer is no. And he punches No Way, lays him out, and that was that. I thought Mojo was good here.
I mean, yeah, you know, his verbal stuff was all right.
He's absolutely lost in this storyline, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought that the whole thing was kind of a waste of time. But, you know, I would hope, for his sake, that he gets as far away from No Way Jose as he can, because he ain't getting over working with No Way Jose.
We had Kurt Angle meeting with Bayley, and he says, listen, I told you earlier this was your last chance. You went out, you did this, so next week I am sending you to counseling. She says, well, what about Sasha? And he says, you put her in the trainer's room, and you're either going to counseling, Bayley, or I'm going to fire you. And off she went.
So
that's the follow-up.
How come she's got to go to counseling and nobody else has?
I have no idea.
Why don't the Riot Squad have to go to counseling?
Dude, forget the Riot Squad. Braun Strowman tips over this dude's car. He tips over his car, as we'll get to.
Well, didn't he went into the production truck, you know, about a year ago.
Dude, he's a total bully. He's a crazy man.
And then he got fired, and he got reinstated for no reason.
That's right.
We remember we kept waiting.
It's like Baby Doll's envelope.
They reinstated him, and there never was.
Never.
He got reinstated.
Stupid. So anyway, they have this match. It's Baron Corbin.
You know what it is?
It's Incredible Partners.
Yeah, well, no. I know the match is Incredible Partners. No, what it is they're copying the UFC, except they're ahead of the UFC in the sense that they don't have any explanation, but since he draws money, he can do anything he wants. Bayley is
Don't think that's copying the UFC. I think that's pro wrestling, which UFC copied.
So Bayley's like the, the undercard guy who holds on holds on to a finishing move too long, and Dana wants to run him out, and like that, right? And Braun is like Conor McGregor, who can tip over a car, throw a dolly through a window, fail drug tests, whatever, and he's okay. So I think that's what the explanation is.
So it's Corbin and Finn versus Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman. Baron Corbin and Finn Balor against Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman.
Yeah, well, it's an incredible partners match.
It is, but you had a hot crowd, and the good news is they had a story, and they told a pretty good story, but the bad news was the fans did not care about Braun teaming with Kevin. They certainly did not care about Finn Balor teaming with Corbin. Well, Finn is out there basically playing the heel role. Owens is out there playing the babyface role. Braun and Finn then get hot tags, and Braun is beating up his former little buddy. Who wants to see the skipper turn on Gilligan, Dave? Nobody.
Yeah, but when Braun Strowman was in with Baron Corbin, it was like atrocious. They were like terrible.
So Kevin,
which we can talk about this, but in the match with Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley against the Revival, and the Revival guys are great. It's like, God, were those spots missed left and right? I mean, I was watching going because Roman Reigns' timing with guys is usually really good. Bobby's is so-so. The Revival's is usually top-notch. And I was just watching going, God, what's the deal? Everyone's are they in the wrong spot or what? But yeah, in this match, when Braun was in with Baron, it was pretty rough. And it was kind of combination of boring and bad.
So Braun runs everybody over outside. Kevin tries it, but he gets laid out by Corbin. Braun does his favorite spot, running shoulder into the post. Balor hits his sling blade. Corbin slaps him for the hot tag, or the blind tag. So Finn beats him up. Corbin turns on Finn. They brawl backstage. Owens and Strowman win via count out. So Kevin is so excited afterwards. He wants a handshake. Braun glares at him. Kevin runs for his life. Braun chases him backstage. Kevin flees all the way out of the building, rushes to the valet area. The valet says, "I don't have your keys." He does. And Braun is standing there with the keys, and he says, "Here's your keys. I hope you have insurance, 'cause there's your car." And he's tipped it over, which also should be a lawsuit.
You missed the stuff when Braun was looking for Kevin, and Kevin was hiding in this room. And so Braun's looking for him, and he goes to a stagehand and goes, "Where's Kevin Owens?" And the guy goes, "Who's Kevin Owens?"
Oh, my God.
I mean, I watch that and I'm going the guy works there and he doesn't know who Kevin Owens is. I mean, what does that tell you? And then, but the idea was so they could get in the line. He's the guy who looks like he's got a bowling ball under his shirt. So that's that's the reason they did it, was so they could get that line in. But it's to get that line in, they made it so the idea is that nobody knows who Kevin Owens is, who's only one of your biggest stars of in the company.
Man, that's great. So yeah, he's destroyed his car, he's a total dick, and he's not going to therapy.
No, of course not. Because he's Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor ain't going to therapy either.
He should be.
You're telling me.
So finally we had Dolph and Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental title, 29 minutes. So Drew's lurking around. He finally whacks Seth from behind. Ref doesn't see it, ejects him anyway. He's arguing with the ref. Seth has a pin. Nobody's there to count. Hits a huge dive onto both guys outside. Tons of near falls at the end. They did stuff on the apron. There was a DDT. Seth barely made it in by 9. Hit a buckle bomb, super kick for a near fall. The place is just going ballistic. Frog splash. They're going out of their minds.
They were going legitimately crazy at one point, but boy, did that end flat.
Then Dolph finally hits a zigzag. Seth kicks out. They're going yes, yes, yes for the double down. Finally, Seth hits the superplex and the Falcon Arrow. Drew pulls the ref out of the ring for the DQ at 29 minutes. My most hated finish. When you make me watch for 29 minutes and give me the worst DQ of all time.
I agree. If you're not gonna have don't drag the match. I don't know. Yeah, don't do that long of a match if you're going to do that kind of a finish, because it made it it's just made it so bad. I just was like, oh, God. Ruined the whole match.
So who should come out to make the save but Roman Reigns? Gets a huge pop before they boo him. Spears Dolph to death in the aisle. Got in the ring to brawl with Drew. Drew hits a headbutt. Roman no-sells it. Hits a Superman punch. Drew bails. So apparently, I guess next week we got a tag team match. Why they couldn't just change the title again here in front of this hot crowd in this awesome match, I have no idea.
Well, probably saving that for the pay-per-view. So they probably didn't want to switch the title so quick. By the way, did you see the rope snap thing from last night?
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Yeah, I saw it. It was Drew's really lucky. The one thing, is that he was, if you remember, his bicep snapped on something fluky, less fluky than this. Just like, he took a move and his bicep just tore. And it's like he went in there and he was just it was Drew McIntyre, and he was going to bounce off the ropes, and he bounces off the ropes, and the top rope snaps, and he goes flying over. And he did, immediately, grab, so he didn't, he was able to somewhat break his fall, which probably saved him from a very potentially serious injury. But, yeah, you could see the real quick reaction, but then they had to do a match with no top rope, and it basically ruined the match. So they had a total improvised match last night.
Alrighty, so today was day one of the WWE UK tournament. Day two is Tuesday. I guess you've seen the tag team match, the title change. How was it?
No. That airs tomorrow. It was a six-man tag.
The six-man.
It was Tyler Bate and Trent Seven and Pete Dunne against the Undisputed Era, Cole O'Reilly and Strong, which was it was a great match. It was way better than anything on Raw. Way better. It was really it's weird because it's like I watched all of Raw, and Raw has a certain feel and pacing, and it's kind of like if you watch a lot of stuff. I think it's one of the problems with WWE right now is that if you watch a lot of wrestling, Raw is it's the way it's paced. It's just slow, which isn't necessarily bad because a lot of the top Japanese matches are slow, but they're slow in a more, I don't know what it is. It's more of a dramatic way as opposed to just slow. Now these guys, they're doing like PWG, which is fast. It's like bing, 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 move, 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 move. And my thought on this is that I like it. I like the slow better than the fast because you can digest it and you can tell a story better and all that. But the reality is that this match absolutely tore the house down. It was completely fantastic. I loved it. There's when you do that style great, it's and you're as good as those guys, and everybody, all six of them were just great. But I guess I should say Kyle O'Reilly and Tyler Bate and perhaps Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong. I guess they were just so good. But everything. The other thing too is on in so many of the Raw matches, it was you see the out of position or the kind of just it's not good. Some stuff that's not really good. These guys this entire match, everything crisp. Everyone they're working fast, and everyone's always in the right place, and every move looks good, and the crowd is just going nuts. It was a great crowd anyway, and then they peaked for this spot where Tyler Bate had one guy, and he's doing the airplane spin spot, and then somebody runs in. I think it was Roderick or Kyle. I forgot which one. But anyway, he runs in to break it up, and Tyler Bate still got the other guy on his shoulders. So he runs in, and Tyler Bate basically double legs the guy. So he goes in there and he's doing a giant swing and an airplane spin at the same time, and the place just going nuts. And then it ended up with the very strong style one, which was to set up the tag team title match, which is on today's show. But it was like high end PWG. I'm watching them going this feels like PWG. It doesn't feel like New Japan. It doesn't feel like WWE. This feels like PWG, which is, and it's just, and it worked perfectly, and the guys are great, and that's the kind of guys that are in PWG. So, I mean, that match was just great. It was one of the best WWE matches this year, easily. And apparently, the tag title matches that they did both in Full Sail and the one in London were even better. So they probably did, in the course of a week, 3 of the best matches of the year in the promotion. So good for those guys.
So we haven't talked about it on this show, but what's going on with WWE and NOAH?
I just know there's some talks going on. It's about Hideo Itami doing a match in NOAH or something like that. So I don't know exactly. I mean, I know that there was a verbal deal done at least a week ago. Nothing's been announced yet. There might be. I got a text from someone who thought it was going to actually be announced today. There's a NOAH show today, so maybe it will be. But so there's something going. There's something going on as far as like how much or what it is. I don't know, but there's relationships opened, which I'm sure NOAH could use him right now. Whatever WWE's, they're probably. I don't want to say they're looking for allies in Japan, but it looks like they're open. I don't know what their plan. I mean, long term, you already know what the plan is. The long term is to own everything and take over everything. Obviously, that's been the plan for 34 years. But how they go about doing it in Japan is kind of different because Japan's Japan and Mexico. I just don't. I mean, I know they did it everywhere else, but I just think that's going to be difficult. Granted, the territories were pretty institutionalized in the United States, and they did it, and they ran every single one of them out for the most part, except for one, and they ran themselves out at the end. But they're the Sumo Hall shows, which are in a couple of actually WWE Sumo Hall is this coming weekend. It's a busy weekend. There's the Sumo Hall stuff. There's so WWE is in Japan. New Japan is in England and the United States. Daytona, and Ring of Honor's got a pay-per-view on Friday night, head-to-head with Kenny Omega's show in Daytona, both of which are available in some form, one on Twitch and one on pay-per-view. And what other stuff is going on? I guess that's the week. But Itami, I think Itami's on the Sumo Hall shows this week. Because he's wrestling Miz on one of the shows, which is going to be really interesting to see what they do for a finish. Because in WWE, obviously Miz would win, but for Japan, you probably wouldn't want to do that, but they still may.
Tell us about this Jay White Juice Robinson angle.
It's just a deal where on one of the Korakuen shows, Jay White was just killing dudes left and right. I mean, it's weird because it's like they're trying to make him out to be Switchblade, and he just doesn't. I don't know if he doesn't have the personality for the gimmick or something, but they sure tried with him. I mean, they had him lay everybody out and break the hand of Juice. Juice came back, and they both did great promos. Juice Robinson did an incredible promo, talking about his whatever it was, he broke one of his bones, but I got 205 other bones. I'm not a doctor. I don't know if that's the right number, which I think he actually did have the right number. And he just, so they're building that thing up for the San Francisco show. And Juice is working with a cast on, and used the cast on Jay White at the spot at one of the house shows in the last couple of days. So that's they're heating up that program. They're good. Those poor guys. Second straight Jay White show in the United States like that, where they're going to put Jay White and Juice on after Dragon Lee and Hiromu Takahashi, and it's like, God, I mean, couldn't they flip flop them? Just, you know what I mean? Because Dragon Lee and Hiromu Takahashi are going to get over no matter what they do, no matter where they are on the card. But who wants to follow that? It's like, geez, that's, I don't, I mean, the last time they had to, didn't they follow Okada the last time? Okada and that Okada tag team match?
I think so, yeah.
Beach?
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, I mean, and they had a great match. I mean,
they were in what would be called the WWE Death Spot, although it's not in New Japan. But it was on that show.
It's not supposed to be, but it was, because in New Japan, the idea is as you go from bigger to bigger to bigger, so there's no such thing as a death spot. But for them, it was a death spot, and they knew it was Jay White and Adam Page, and they both knew it too. I mean, because I talked to both of them the day before, and they both knew it, and I think that's why they were so motivated to have such a great match, and they really did. Like if you don't figure in that it took 20 minutes to get the crowd going, and actually watch that match for what they did, it was actually a great match, but it didn't come off as a great match because they followed Okada, and the people just wanted it. At that point, they just wanted the Young Bucks and Omega and Ibushi, and those guys were out there taking 25 minutes up before that. So it's going to be the same thing here, where they're going to follow Hiromu Takahashi, and then the people are going to be waiting for Kenny Omega, and I don't know. I mean, if people watch if people put it like, if all the fans that are at that show watch these interviews, they might be a little bit better with it. But since they're not going to, it's going to be tough. We'll see. I mean, maybe Juice will be over. In some way. He is real New Japan. Whereas Adam Page, I think people think of as Ring of Honor more than New Japan. It's going to be the one thing the crowd will be is they will be a New Japan crowd. So we'll see. But yeah, really, both guys did good promos. But the Juice Robinson promo with a broken hand after the broken finger actually was really good.
Alrighty, Eli Drake re-signed with Impact.
Yeah, multi-year deal. So it's not. He'd been signing these short-term extensions. The last one was due at the end of July, but he's with them. So the Eli Drake to WWE is not happening. So whatever those talks turned into, he evidently felt it was better for him to stay in Impact. Again, not knowing what WWE was offering, it's hard to, that's a weird one because you stay with Impact, a guy who talks like that, and he's a hell of a talker. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves as a talker. He's really excellent at talking. But, in Impact, he's going to be a top guy. In WWE, who the hell knows? I mean, the fact is that most guys who come from Impact, when they go to NXT, the NXT fans treat them awfully well. I mean, they certainly gave, when Bobby Roode and James Storm came in, and EC3, I mean, they were treated huge. So, but, I don't know. I mean, it's, again, I don't know what the numbers are, so it's hard to say, like, what you should do. I mean, it's tough, when you're in Impact, sometimes it feels like you're kind of out of the spotlight. I mean, if you actually watch the show, there's some really good performers on the show, but I don't know if they really get the due, just because, I don't know, it just feels like people aren't watching, the numbers, well, the numbers have been down a little bit lately, but they were up for a while there. But, I don't know, like I see, no one's really talking about Aries that much right now, or Moose, or, just the different guys. Even like they got Pentagon and those guys. They've had some really good matches, and I watched them and I go, this is really good, and I don't hear anyone talking to me about it.
By the way, the match was Suzuki and Sabre versus Okada and Ishii, and then it was Jay White, Hangman Page, and then the Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks.
The Okada's tag team match, yeah.
Yeah. All right, we have the full lineup for this year's Battle of Los Angeles.
Yep. Let me get to that. It's actually like pretty. It's a group. It's a really unique group because there's so many guys that you just wouldn't really think would be in it. But the key guys that have been around, it's 24 guys. So it's Ilya Dragunov, who's the WXW champion, and the stuff I've seen of him is great. Jody Fleisch, which is a surprise. He's a UK guy from like 10 years ago who was a really awesome flyer, but like I haven't seen him in a long time. I don't know what he's done or anything like that. So it's it's like he was like he came like now a guy like him, if they came around, people would all be talking about him because the UK scene is a lot higher profile, and guys from the UK are going all over the world. When he was around, the guys from the UK were only known in the UK, and their independent scene was much, much weaker than here, or than it is now. So it's interesting that he's in there. Brody King, who you've seen him. Brody King's to me like a guy who big athletic guy. I think he's a future star. Pierre Carl Ouellet, who's a big cult favorite right now. 50 years old, works his ass off. Probably get a gigantic reaction. Just made a career out of doing that Joey Janela show over WrestleMania week. Now everybody wants to see him. They brought him in. Puma King, which is interesting because it's a CMLL guy. Joey Janela always works hard. He works so hard. Chris Brooks from the UK, or he wrestles in the UK. Ray Horace, who's on the shows all the time, regular at PWG, very good wrestler. David Starr, an American who's kind of big in Germany right now. He's been on a couple of shows in PWG. Robbie Eagles from Australia, who's one of the best guys there. Matt Riddle, who goes without saying. Darby Allin, who has really been making a name for himself of late. Adam Brooks, who's another Australian guy Flamita, who's awfully good flyer. Jonah Rock, who's done real well in PWG. DJ Z, who I'm really glad to see. He's been really good in Impact. He's been good for years and years. I don't know exactly. He works hard. He's good. I'm not sure. He got hurt a couple of times. It's like I feel like he's one of those guys that like is really good that doesn't get the credit for it or something. Timothy Thatcher, T-Hawk from Dragon Gate, Shima, which is an interesting name. Place would probably go nuts for Shima. Jeff Cobb, regular Travis Banks, Progress champion, who was in that, went to the finals of the UK tournament. Bandito, who's future superstar. I mean, that guy, he's going to be big time in a couple of years. He's so good. Walter, who's always good, and finally Shingo Takagi from Dragon Gate, who the guy's great. So I don't know how they're going to bracket all this, but it's different. It's a lot of names that you wouldn't expect, but I think the finished product's going to be really good this September 15th, 14th through the 16th, I think. 14th through 16th, I believe. So, crazy September.
And finally in the news, Rashad Evans has decided it is time to retire. Probably a little too late.
Yeah, I don't know one person who's saying, "Oh, come on, you still got it." But yeah, the last fight wasn't too good. I mean, it was sad to me that when Rashad Evans is on the Facebook, the Fight Pass prelims on a pay-per-view, not even on the FS1 stuff, because this guy headlined pay-per-view. I mean, he didn't just headline pay-per-views; he headlined some. John Jones and Rashad was a huge match. Rashad Evans and Rampage was one of the biggest non-championship matches in the history of the company. Chuck Liddell was Rashad. I mean, that wasn't a big money match, but it was a big match. It was basically the end of Chuck Liddell as a championship contender, and then Rashad Evans ended up winning the championship. He was Rashad Evans and Forrest Griffin on that one UFC card where Rashad won the championship. That was a big deal. He had a great career, good college wrestler with good athletic ability. I mean, I remember the one match where he fought on Fox against Phil Davis, and Phil Davis was a national wrestling champion, and Rashad totally out-wrestled him for 5 straight rounds. And I mean, it's like everybody was thinking Phil Davis is going to, probably maybe Rashad will be able to keep it standing because he's probably a better striker than Davis. But Rashad, he did to Davis something that you just wouldn't expect to see, I mean, the guy was a really good fighter in his prime, former champion, big star, and it's been a couple of years since he's really been a top guy, and the last couple of fights, I think he's lost 5 in a row, so it was time for sure. But one of the original, I would say so the first superstar made by Ultimate Fighter would have probably been, without doubt, was Forrest Griffin, and then to a degree, I mean, Diego Sanchez probably at that first season as well, Bonner to a degree, Florian to a degree. Second season, though, the big star out of season 2 was Rashad.
Jump into the mailbag here, mailbag at WrestlingObserver.com. Lots of questions here. This person says, how do you think the WCW and Smoky Mountain relationships would have turned out if Bill Watts had not quit?
Oh, I think the relationship would have been good because Cornette and Watts would have worked well together. So they would probably be sending guys back and forth, probably would have benefited both companies to a degree. I don't know that it would have saved Smoky Mountain. I mean, the problem with Smoky Mountain was it was the wrong time. It was the thing that killed Smoky Mountain Wrestling was that they had to pay for TV time. If they didn't have to pay for TV time, they still, at the end, it would have been tough, but they'd have been a lot more successful than they were. I don't know that, again, even Memphis, where they were paid for TV time, went down. So everybody ended up going down anyway. The idea of regional wrestling done in that manner, it worked for years and years. It didn't work. It just didn't work economically in that era. But yeah, as long as Cornette and Watts would have gotten along. I think their understandings of each other's philosophy. Well, Cornette's philosophy is basically, 50% what he learned from Bill Watts anyway. So whatever Watts did, Cornette would be, understanding of.
This person here says, after years of blatantly ignoring them, WWE seemed to relax its policy on acknowledging TNA. Not only has Impact been directly referred to on screen, WWE has even used TNA footage on multiple network shows now. What led to this change? Was the Broken Universe lawsuit a turning point, or does Vince simply no longer see them as a threat?
They no longer see them as a threat to do the stuff with the Hardys the way that they wanted to do it. You needed that footage, and Impact gave them the rights to the footage, so everything's fine. Yeah, the days of pretending TNA never existed. AJ Styles started in WCW, and then for 15 years was in a black hole, or Bobby Roode was in a black hole for his whole career. Those days are over. Thank God. It was ridiculous. By the way, I did want to mention this. I do think a lot more should have been done on today's show regarding Vader. I
was very surprised we didn't get a video package. I thought for sure we were getting one.
They
made one. They had it on social media.
Yeah, they had a video on social media, but if you didn't see the very beginning of the show, there was a graphic for him, but there was not one mention during the entire show. That video should have played. It's not like, God knows, it's not like there were segments on this show that, that you could have like eliminated from the show, and it wouldn't have ruined the entire show. I mean, it was not like there was no filler tonight, but and even whatever, you could have cut that Riot Squad match back 2 minutes and put the Vader interview in. I mean, the Vader promo, and the Vader promo would have been much better than pretty much most of what was on the show anyway. So yeah, I was. I'm never surprised. I mean, the only one I was surprised was with Snuka, because I thought that, like, with Snuka, I thought they would mention it, and because and everything, but they went so far on Snuka. That one, I just thought that at the time that was just like ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel, Vader's modern enough, and he was really a superstar in this business. And to treat him like he was, I don't know, just felt like it was very weak.
This person here says, since Rey is in the 2K19 commercial saying he is back, as I'm sure that means the game, does this also mean that he is signed with the company?
He is not signed as of today. It's the situation we've been talking about for months. I expect that there will be a deal. It's just a question of reaching a money issue and a date issue. And I think both sides want to reach that issue. They just, Paul Levesque is really busy. But, yeah, as of today, no, there's no deal. I expect a deal, and again, it's just a matter of, like, they compromise on the terms of what each side wants. And I don't even think the money's going to be, the money's an issue, of course, it always is. Because the thing with Rey is Rey can make a lot of money without WWE. So he was the highest paid guy outside of outside of WWE as far as per match, what he was making per match. So he has no need to go, but I think he wants to go. I think he's in great shape now.
Looks great, moves great.
He's looking great, and they want him. They certainly don't want him on the outside, But yeah, so are they going to get him before All In? I don't know. I think that's probably something that they would probably want to do, but yeah, I think the real thing is just dates. Because Rey's, Rey can make a lot of money. And he can take his family on vacations all the time because he's got that luxury to do so. And that's, there's that. He, he also wants to open the door for his son to get into wrestling. So I think that being in WWE probably is Dominic going to train with Lance?
I don't know for sure, but I think he might be.
I'm trying to remember. I just wrote something about Dominic training, and I thought maybe it wasn't with WWE. That's what I remember. It might have been Lance, but whatever. I guess we'll know soon enough. But I know Dominic is going to be training outside of WWE. But the thing is that Rey does want, obviously, like probably the number one thing he wants is, even if he's not working in WWE, he's to have a good relationship with WWE, because probably would want his son to get, into NXT after he's trained and he's good enough, not go there to start, and then get lost in the shuffle, but be, try to get him good and ready before he goes, because he's got the name and everything in the pull, to perhaps get, to get him, I'm sure to get him in. But, again, it's a big spotlight. It's a bigger spotlight than anything else. At this stage of the game, he's Rey's 43, almost 44. So, I think that, I think he wants that last bit of spotlight there. So, again, in the end, I strongly expect that a deal will be made, and probably soon.
All right, everybody, on that note, we're going to wrap it up for today. The back issue of The Observer is up on the front page. New Observer is going to be out on Wednesday. We've got a lot of shows up on the front page, many more to come, all sorts of great stuff. So check it out, and that's it. We will talk to you again after a while.